Alright, welcome back everybody to another episode of Banished. Where we left off last time, we just finished up our farm supplier here. And unfortunately, I made a boo-boo. So I forgot, or I didn't know, that when you close this farm supplier window, it actually automatically dismisses the trader. So our trader went away, but I'm not too incredibly heartbroken about it. I wasn't all that interested in the trades that that trader had. So we'll continue on, wait for a next trader to come through, which should be pretty soon, and we can see if we can get a little bit better trades. So one of the things that I want to start out with is just prepare for when we have our first cattle that come through, or animals, or anything that we get. What we're really looking for is the Frisian cows, because they give meat and milk. So they'll start producing milk right away, similar to how chickens produce eggs right away. And then once we get an entire full pasture, they will start to produce meat. So those are going to be what we're looking for, but really any animal of any kind is going to be good to start out with increasing our food production here. So what I want to do, going to go into the food production area, and we're going to do right here. So we have a standard pasture, we have a fenceless pasture, and then a slope conforming pasture. The standard and the fenceless are pretty much the same. They function the same, one log per length. Not a big deal which one you pick, it's just for aesthetics. The slope conforming pasture is if you have a more hilly terrain or something like that, it will let you build on the sides of gentle slopes instead of just giving you those red out of bounds blocks. So we are going to go for the standard pasture just because I think they look a little bit nicer than the fenceless. The fenceless are nice if you have like trees and things like that and you don't want to ruin your area with fence posts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in this area right here, starting from this corner, and I'm going to fill in, I think we'll go right about here. So what this will be is my little holding area. I'm going to be filling in some larger size pastures. So you can go extremely large. I think it's 30 by 30 maximum. In the original game, the pastures I think were 20 by 20. So you can get really large in this game. And I've done a little bit of testing. The size doesn't really seem to matter. The number of workers at that pasture seems to make a bigger difference than the size itself. But the larger size you have, the more animals you have reproducing, the faster they're going to reproduce. Alright, so we got our little holding room on its way. It looks like we do have all the materials we need, 111 logs, and only 56 are needed. So that should be built up in pretty quick order. I'm going to finish this out with a small dirt road just to separate out what we're doing. And we've got our trading post built now, so we should get 2 traders coming in regularly. So I'm going to put that up there, and I'm going to minimize it, so I can switch back between my farm supplier and my trading post. Again, the trading post does absolutely everything in the game. The farm supplier only does seeds and animals. So if we take a look at this, again, there's not really a whole lot in here that I'm too interested in, but I think we will pick just one type. Bamboo. I can't recall exactly what we can make out of bamboo. So under this tools and reports, there's a new button way over here. It's the icon chart for Colonial Charter. It gives you an idea of what you can do with all of these different items. The name of it, the main producer, the profession, and then the icon of the building to be able to build that. Bamboo, crop field, it's a crop farmer. Doesn't really give us a whole lot of information on what we can do with bamboo. I think bamboo can be used as an alternate fuel source. If you get a bundling station, or bundling, where is it right here, bundling shed, organics are gathered and cut into usable bundles as fuel for firewood. So I think you can do like sugarcane and bamboo and a couple other crops that you can use for fuel. But that's not all that useful, and for $3,000 or 3,000 trade value, I don't think it's really necessary. So let's go with just a generic one here. We'll go for field carrots. And I did get a couple native artifacts. So from my ceremonial ground here, we did get some artifacts, and they do sell for 2,500 apiece. So I could potentially use one of these native artifacts to buy this field carrot. Like I said the last time, I don't necessarily know if I want to do that, but at the same time, it is a resource that's built into the game, and we might as well use it. So we can put our leather back here. I don't know how much leather we have to spare. Probably not a lot. Oh yeah, so our tailor's out of leather, so I don't necessarily want to use all of the leather that I have. So let's just go ahead and use up one of these native artifacts. And there we go. So we'll dismiss that guy. And we now have a field crop. Now, where do we want to put it? I think what I might do is, once we get rid of all of this over here and start moving our wood production over into this area, I think I might start expanding farm space up in this general direction and then expand our town downward. I think that might be a good idea. Alright, so if we... Let's start to plan out our town here a little bit. Where's my crops? There's my crops. Alright, so we have a barrier here. So what I might want to do is just use this as our roadway. So we take our road, here's our barrier that we can't get past, and this will be our road. Alright, and then we can take our... Where's our field? There's our field. Keep losing it. And we can make sure that it actually will fit in this area. So we can get up to 30 wide. There's not a whole lot of information on optimal crop layouts for the new sizes. Again, I think the old crop size was only up to like a 15 wide field, 15 by 15, something along those lines. We can go all the way up to 30 with this. But there is still the mechanic in place where wide farms do a lot better than tall farms. On wide farms, they actually, when they pick the material and plant the material, they still go from left to right, and it's just going to be better so that they don't have to go, 4 across, 4 across, 4 across, and keep having to move up and waste time. So we'll see what we can do about getting a 30 wide field in this area, and I think right there is actually where we want to be. Nope, one more. Alright. So we have a 30 wide field, and I'm going to pick 4. I think. Yeah, I think that's about right. So I think 30 by 4 is doable if it's a worker with a tool and an educated worker. Now we want to go up in here, I think 23 by 7. Let's see, so 30 by 4, 23 by 7, that's probably going to be a tall order. Let's go 23 by 6, and then we'll do 19 by 6. It's probably about all we can do here. What if we do 20 by 5? Nope, 19 by 6 will give us a higher yield. So, do 19 by 6. So we'll try out these 3 field sizes, and then what we can do is allow them to go for a couple of seasons and just see which one gives us the biggest yield, and if one is more beneficial than the other. So if we find out that these, they just absolutely, even if they're educated and they have tools, if they cannot get through that entire field in one season, then we can try one of the smaller sizes. There's no point in wasting space when we got a small map. Alright, since we only have one type, we will do field carrots on everything. And we will assign 3 farmers. Alright, so I had to take a little bit of a cut there. And you may notice a couple of changes around my city here. And the reason for that is this right here. I don't know why, I don't know how, but for whatever reason, while I was taking a cut between scenes, my game went corrupted. So what I ended up having to do was go through, start all over again with the same map seed, and I rebuilt every single building in my entire civilization. It should look pretty similar. I kind of used the same markers and things like that to put roads in. There's a couple of changes and things like that, but it should not be too much different. And our population is a little bit lower because I spent most of my time just going through and making sure I got all the buildings in. So there's a couple building changes around here, but everything else, you know, we've got our hunters' lodges, we've got our barn, we've got our homes, and things like that, and we've got our fields up here. So shouldn't be too bad, but I do really enjoy the series, and it does get a lot of views. So I wanted to, instead of just ending the series or starting over, I wanted to kind of pick up where we left off. So I took about a couple of hours and read this for everybody. So we will get right back into it. Where we left off was right here. So now that we have fields here, we want to make sure that we have enough homes so they don't have to walk very far, and we have enough barns so that they don't fill up. So I have a specific pattern that I do this in. You just want to take a standard storage barn and place it down right in there. Then I line this on the side. You have to be careful with these because the new barns, when you're putting roads in, they actually have extra like inner portions where you can possibly place a road. Not sure why they did that, but it makes it just a little bit more difficult to place roads and figure out where the edge is. But so the road's right here. Trace that all the way up. And then when we go in here, we actually have the town abode. These are actually a 3-wide house, and that works out pretty well because the barn is actually 6 wide. So we can put 2 next to each other, flip it around so that the roads meet up, and then we should have a barn for what are these, town abodes, and then we'll have another barn. And I'm going to increase priority on all of that so they can start building up. Actually, I'm going to increase priority on the barn first. That's going to be the most important one. They can walk a little bit further temporarily to get home, but the barn is really necessary. Alright, so like I said, I have a little bit smaller population here, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult. We don't have quite the reserve that we had the last game, but yeah. So I did actually also get llamas. I think the last time we had sheep, but llamas do pretty much the same thing. They give cheval and wool. And that took forever, let me tell you. I got bison about 7 times, and I got chickens about 5 or 6 times before I finally got llamas to come through. Alright, how's our stuff doing? So we have plenty of clothes, which is good. We need some tools yet. We have plenty of fuel, and our food supply is a little bit lower, but it should be okay. If we look at our colonial house, go to production, we have food. Let's see, what's our produce? So we have 2,000 so far. We've produced 5,300, used 4,300, so we should be perfectly fine. We should always have a positive food growth. Okay. Got a trader coming in. It's going to be for this one here. And what do we have? Dress coat. So this is one of the expansion items, the dress coat. So if you go to the tailor, you can see that the dress coat is linen. We don't have the ability to make linen right now. And as far as I'm aware, there's not really a big difference between any of these items. I haven't looked into it too much if with the last expansion if they did give more warmth values for any of these. But honestly, we have so many clothes that I'm not entirely worried about it. So we'll just dismiss them. Wait for something a little bit better. So one of the big benefits that I really like about this farm supplier right here is we no longer really have to go into orders and purchase things for more money. It was really, really expensive to be able to say, you know, I want to get 2 llamas. There's that 10-15% increase in price, and it was just obnoxious. So, all right. And I did swap out for wheat. Wheat is a 4,000 trade value. It was worth it though. Wheat has a lot more utility than carrots, but you know, there's carrots here. There was also, we had field carrots last time, but there's not really a whole lot in here that I want. The next thing that I would want is some sort of a fruit for our orchards so that we can start working on making alcohol. Or if we could get something that could be turned into tobacco. So if we got hemp or tobacco leaves, I think hemp could be turned into dried cured tobacco. I don't remember. Maybe it is just tobacco leaves. All right, so we'll dismiss him. We're good with our wheat right now. And one thing I want to do for here, just to make sure that we don't run out, is I want to upgrade our barn. So we can take the storage barn, we can increase it to a storage warehouse. It's 38 lumber and 46 stone. We have plenty of both, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm also going to increase priority on that just to get it done a little bit more quickly. We're going to recover 48 wood and 16 stone, so really all we have to put in is extra stone. So it's not going to be a big deal for us. And while we're at it, why don't I put in a little stockpile here. So it's always a good idea to upgrade your storage barn right away before it gets too filled up with stuff. Otherwise it causes problems with having accessibility to items. And once this one completes, we're going to upgrade it right away as well. All right. And what else do we want to do? So really all we're waiting for right now is a couple more traders to come through with some more materials so we can build some extra items and things like that. One thing I want to do is upgrade our pasture here. So we have 6 out of 13 llamas. Once they actually get all the way up, they'll start giving us meat, and they should be giving wool anytime now. I just got them last season, I believe, so they haven't actually gone through a full growing cycle yet. Alright, looks like our population is going up pretty rapidly. We've got 5 extra laborers now. We started out with like 32 people, and then now we're up to 40, and we have 12 children. So we have plenty of people on their way. We just don't have them readily available at this moment. So let's plan out where we want to put our pasture. Pastures I like to actually spread around. They're a nice, reliable source of food. They have a high yield, and yep, there's our wool. They have a high yield, and they can be butchered year-round. So really, there's no downtime where we have to wait for the fields. Fields are still going to be probably our primary source of food. They can produce up to, like, one farmer can produce 800 food or something like that. And then if it's a good growing season, they have a tool and they're educated. I think I've gotten all the way up to like 1,200 with one farmer. Some crazy number like that. These are just steady, reliable sources of food. They usually produce about 1,600, but then you have to worry that if there's a disease, it won't be at the maximum, or you can lose 3/4 of your herd, and then you're out for a number of seasons with no food. So you want to make sure you diversify. I take these, I usually put them around the map in multiple locations so that there's a nearby barn and there's a nearby market that can supply everybody with what they need. And that is actually a good point I just made. I should make a market. As you can see, there's a lot more market options as well. There's small market, rural market, central market, and then these are stalls. So it's like a market for one particular item. Wood market cart. Interesting. Though these are new to the expansion. I don't exactly know what they do, so I'll have to play with those a little bit. We're going to do this is just the standard market that was in the original game. This is a smaller version. Here's the standard one. And then this is the central one. So you can see it covers pretty much the my entire screen here. I'll do a central market right here. And then as we branch out in these areas, I'll put one here, one here, one here, one here, with the rural markets, just so that everybody kind of has the same chance of getting food. But then I'm also going to make sure that I spread out my farmland and my orchards and my pastures and things like that, so that everybody has an equal opportunity at getting food without going through a starvation cycle. So it's pretty expensive, but we do have quite a reserve. Let's see, I have 4 on that mine, 4 on that mine. That's pretty good. And of course, we get sheep right away after I spend so long getting llamas. I don't need sheep, only need one type of animal of that kind. So 3 cloth for 8. I'm actually going to take that because cloth is actually very difficult to get right away. You have to, let's see, what is cloth? I think cloth you need cotton. So I need to wait for the trader to get cotton seeds before I can start doing that. And it can be used for some really nice structures and things like that. So let's see what I can get. So while we're waiting for that to kind of stock up, let's see if anything needs cloth these days. I believe the wharf, maybe not. I believe the wharf used to use it. So the wharf and ship, instead of using the building materials and whatever, I think that's hull parts on the end, I think it originally used cloth for cloth sails, but they changed it out to building materials in Curse of the Golden Llama. But, so refined materials like that, when you do see them on the trader, you usually want to grab them. You never know when you're going to need them, but might not necessarily have the ability to grow your own cotton quite yet. Alright, shipyard doesn't need it. Okay, so it looks like they may have just completely removed cloth or silk from the raw materials of all the buildings, which is pretty nice. Like I said, it's unless you luck out and you really get that crop right away, some of these buildings were just plain out locked so that you could not build them. And chickens again, of course. We've gotten so many chickens. Actually, I'm gonna grab some chickens. Chickens are nice. They are another one that they produce food, even if they get diseased, which is fairly nice. So the llamas will continue to produce wool, even if they don't have the max, but chickens will produce food and wool, regardless. Alright, how are we doing over here? Alright, so we have our large storage barns. You can see we have 1,200 in here, and it's only about 1%. So it should store in the order of, 10,000, 12,000, somewhere in that range. These have, it's 36% full, and it only has, 320 some, and it's 36% full. So this only will fit like 1,000 items. So it's quite an upgrade to go for the storage warehouse for very, very, very little money. Or very little resources, I should say. Alright, so we had 5,000 to begin with, and now we're up to about 8,000, so our food is on the rise. We do need some more tools, though. That's something that looks like it's been lacking a little bit. We do have a supply of iron. 11 people without tools, so what I might do is make another blacksmith and then turn this one into a large smithy. I think that might be a good idea. So I'm going to work on a couple things right now. First thing is I'm going to put in, where is it? There it is. I'm going to put in another blacksmith. Can't really fit it in anywhere in here. Let's see where we can put this. Yeah, we can put it right there. Squeeze it in. And one other thing that we need to start working on so that we can build some nicer homes is glass. So glass is going to be pretty important going forward. You can use glass to make houses and buildings and things like that. And it also produces glassware for when you need to produce like jams and things like that and put them in jars. I believe there's a couple alcohols that also need glass, which, like I said, is something that we're going to be working on as soon as we get a fruit tree. Alright. So, there's our chickens. Got 2 of them. Go ahead and trade. Chickens, increase you. Alright. So, we've got some basic pastures going. Eventually, I want to build a large pasture. Why don't we get that started right now, because it uses a ridiculous amount of resources. So why don't, looks like this is a pretty large area that we can start that on. We should be able to do a 30 by 30. So I don't make a lot of these large ones. Usually these are just kind of my powerhouse growers. I might put the chickens in there just in case they get diseased. They can still produce meat. I usually do smaller pastures because one shepherd can't handle all of these animals at once. Regardless of how many are in here, they can only butcher so much, so you're wasting a lot of your animals. I think pasture this size, I've gotten up to about 4,800 meat per season, which is pretty good. Alright. So our 2 chickens here, we got a pretty good supply of wool coming in, so I'm actually going to change this out for wool coats. How much do feathers go for? 1. You know what? I've never actually done this before. So why don't we go for reeds, and we'll start working on reeds and feathers. So feathers don't really sell for anything, so they're not really useful as a trade item. We have I'd rather sell my wool for 10 apiece than to sell the feathers for 1. It's just not worth it. Alright, so once he starts producing reeds, I'm going to go ahead and swap this over. And we can do, I'll do 500 leather and 500 wool on each of these. These are my main trading items, just because they go for so much. Wool goes for 10 apiece, leather goes for 15 apiece. Oh, actually 5 and 10, sorry. I believe it's finished coats, like leather coats, that go for 15. So, I think we'll wrap it up there. Looks like we're just shy of 30 minutes here. Next time, one thing that I want to get into is the glass production. So we need a couple more buildings for that. We can't just plop a glass works down and it'll start working. So a couple of requirements for that to happen, and we'll make that happen next time. So thanks for watching, thanks for coming out, and see you next time.